20 years. So, everybody from PA or everyone out of state or Maryland, Ohio? I don't know where everybody's from.
Delaware.
Delaware? All right. Well, I'm Justin Butero from Washington County, PennDOT. We're actually about, put that in perspective, south of Pittsburgh, about 35 minutes, give or take. I'm the operator of this Old Glory Western Star here. I guess we're doing load securement. So anyone have class on that today? And watch videos or anything? No. All right. Every state's different as far as comes load securement. Obviously, a pinch point off the frame is actually illegal in PA. You can see the frame pinch point right here and off the tracks. We set it up this way just to do something a little different here to show everybody what to do and not to do. Obviously, hauling this piece of equipment, you have to have a height stick. We all have low bridges in some of the counties, Delaware especially. They all have a bunch of low bridges out that way. But as far as load securement, we have three different types of, we can use binders, we do use snap chains as well, snap binders. I don't know if anybody's familiar with those. I don't have a set on me. But as far as the binders go, really there's wrong ways and right ways to do it as far as binding any type of machine down. The pinch points with the D-ring hooks are actually located inside the spindle of the track excavator here. Like I said, hauling off the track, some DOT guys they don't particularly like it because like Brent was saying earlier, we were talking about if you ever get involved in a wreck or someone sideswipes you on the highway, if they hit this pinch point, it can knock the chain loose, which would send the excavator doing a little hooky-zooky off the trailer. But it's never happened, so. But you never know. As far as loading this piece of equipment, obviously loading can be a little bit tricky on a wet deck, especially icy conditions. And also when you turn it over to Western Power later, the overhead power lines. Metal on power lines is not a very good combination. You take a ride with old Sparky when that happens. But as far as load securement, really not too much detail. If you ever need more chains, I tell everybody, you don't need 4 points of contact or a fifth chain on the boom itself. Because the boom has a tendency they can move. You know, we have all the nice bridge decks in here in PA. They're a real nice approach. You've all hit them. They're real nice and smooth, right? No. Chains do get loose in the state of PA, especially outside the state. As far as the boom goes, it can have a tendency to move. Not too often does it though. And I'm trying to think what else we got. As far as an oversized load goes, we do have equipment that exceeds the deck limit. There's three different types of variables when it comes to oversized load. Your height, your weight, and your width. That determines an oversized load. Anything over the height of 13.6 is considered an oversized load. We do have belt loaders, which most people call them ATHs. They're made by Leroy. You'll see them doing ditch cutting around the state for winter maintenance or so you get water runoff off the road. But as far as an ATH goes, they actually sit about 13.8 in the air. That's our highest point of piece of equipment that we haul. Anything oversized track-wise, if it sits 3 inches off either side of the deck, it's considered oversized load. As far as weight, your weight can exceed over 50,000 pounds. This is actually a 120,000 pound trailer. Our legal weight is 110 in the state of PA, being the fact that our tractor is not set up as a triaxle, it's a tandem tractor. So our legal weight in PA is 110. You guys got anything? Oh, leave the committee, huh? Colby, where's he hiding at? So you got pay range 7, they always hide, right?
One of the main things is you got to realize too, like there's an old saying that says there's 9 ways to skin a cat. So I can secure this down one way, he can secure it down another way, and the other guys can secure it down another way. As long as it's on there safely and it's not going to come off, you know. Like he said, there's some DOTs, you know, obviously they're going to say no, that's wrong. Something like, well, it's
Right. I said, if you ever think that a piece of equipment needs another chain, do what you just thought. Put another chain on. I said, don't always go for 4 points of contact. I've seen some guys wrap chains over the top of the tracks. I don't recommend it, but they always have a tendency to slide. But like I said, everyone is different on when it comes to equipment. We have graders, we have a Vogel paver that obviously is an oversized load in our county. And as far as that goes, any questions as far as load securement? I mean, we can bring some guys in to see if you want to learn about pinch points or D-rings.
Only one chain on the bucket?
Yeah, we can run two. The only time we ever run two is on a detached bucket. As far as like high lifts go, anything like that. Sometimes you'll see guys going through the county with only 4 chains on the high lift itself. Legal standards of the DOT law, you're supposed to throw one over the bucket because if it's able to detach, you have to have chains on them. As far as this bucket goes, no, because we have a slide cylinder pin that's inside the bucket itself. That's why we don't have anything on the bucket. Now, some of them do bleed off because mechanical wise, they're areas, they're air system and hydraulics and after farm. But this one here, if it probably set for 3 or 4 days, it might kick over to the right or left. But a chain on the bucket, no, we've never done that. Anyone else? Colby, you got anything?
I'm good. I'm a nervous wreck. I haven't done this in 20 years. Anybody else? No questions.
You ever have equipment fall off?
No. Is that the right answer?
That is the right answer.
Yeah, loading equipment, yes. Loading, sometimes in the wintertime we have to go out. Unfortunately, we don't usually call for wreckers in the winter season. The load boys are able to go out and haul in the tandem as well. Any equipment that breaks down, crew cabs, whatever we have. Sometimes you get an icy deck. We have no way of spreading it other than loading it with the tandem itself. You're able to load the tandem by turning on the spreader system and trying like spread the deck as you get on. Never really had one fall off, but unfortunately when you're loading a tandem, you have to back up, which is called the beaver tail back here. And that's what actually holds the weight of the vehicle hauling on, because naturally every tandem we pick up is loaded. So then we do become an oversized load because we're probably about 98,000 pounds with a loaded tandem on combined weight. This Western Star here is a 58,000 pound lightweight. So once we get up to our maximum weight of 110, which we really don't with anything loaded, we have a Marine mill that's probably about 31 years old. Still runs in the county. It's probably getting on its last leg here eventually. But it has an upwards weight of be about 110,000 pounds legal weight on it. But yeah, it's nothing's really slick off. We let other operators load at times. We think they're safe at throwing it yet. Because everybody wants to be the hero and say, I can load that. Then all of a sudden you watch them start to get a little crazy and you're like, no, get out. But no, we've never had anything really fall off. It can be fun though.
Yeah.
Depends on who you want to load it, right? Anything, anyone else? Questions? As far as the chains go, they're grade 70 chain. And 3/8 to 5/8, we also have the half-inch chains for the hauling mill. Chain lengths are based on your weight and what you're going to distribute. Obviously, you can't. What's the one? Or a half-inch? But yeah, if you're going to haul a garden tractor, you don't want to haul it with a supersized chain. Make sure the binder is also equivalent to the chain length that you have. If you have a half-inch into a 5/8, it can slide. But other than that, anybody else? Any questions about PennDOT? Nobody. Colby, you got anything you want to add?
Proper chains, proper binders.
Yeah. Does anyone want to load this and take it off for me and put it back on? Sure.
So different states have different spring lengths.
Yes. You do. Well, yeah. 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 Most states require you to go through the D-rings. Like, this would typically go off the D-ring. It's inside the track, inside here to the pitch point out to the D-ring. The only reason why I don't like hauling with D-ring, especially with crew cabs, tandems, because you're cranking down on the spring pressure. And what happens with the D-ring is you can see how this is loose here. So when you start getting the bounce effect with a tandem or anything, because you're strapping down, and when you start putting the weight down on it, you're pulling down on the spring system itself. So like I said, any type of bumps, bridge decks or anything, you can be driving down the road and all of a sudden you'll see your chain just do a spin on you, which does happen. And especially off the D-ring, the nice part about hauling the D-ring is the chain's going to be secure. But once this link comes off and it starts sliding around, then your chain can fall off and you're dragging down the road and the sparks fly. But it's not too often it happens. That's why I usually go off the frame pinch point, because you have less bounce. Where a D-ring, as you're going down the road, see how the chain wants to hop itself, and it'll hop like that continuously going down the road. And those states have to go off the D-ring. We've never really been told otherwise. We've talked to DOT. They've always said if you want to use a frame pinch point, you can, because I don't think our state really specifies it as being illegal, especially us being PennDOT. Now, if you're in the private sector, you might get hit a little different on it. But as far as that, anybody else?
What can get challenging also is we have an excavator in our county. We added the rubber track pads to. We're doing side does and working on it. So that's breaking all in. How do you tie it?
I usually go from the frame on the sides here, and I just pull those ways because you can't hook into the the track because the pads are about an inch and a half, 2 inches thick, 2 inches thick. So you can't just hook it right there. So I usually just hook into here, and I just pull those ways. The reason why I don't like using those in there, so if you look the distance from here to there, you almost got a good 8 or 10 feet. There's a lot that could happen in 8 or 10 feet. So if I could go 4 feet from here to that frame, I'm going to go the shortest distance. That's something could happen on my chains and my binders, whether they would break or, come loose or work their way through, So I'm going to go the shortest distance. Is it right? They never told me nothing different.
Yeah, also, obviously in PA, and actually most states, every 10 feet requires a chain. So if you're hauling a tandem, obviously the tandem's going to be backed up the beaver tail. You're going to have chains out the back to the D-ring, obviously in the front. Now technically you're supposed to throw one across the middle. And when you're throwing one across the middle, you're jumping into hydraulic lines, electric lines, anything else that can pinch underneath there. We technically try to do away with that. Now if you're hauling a high lift, obviously a high lift graders, they can articulate in the middle. If you have a safety bar, which is called the high lift, if you're by yourself, it's kind of hard to do it. If you have a walking pin that stops the articulation of the high lift, then you wouldn't have to throw a chain through the center. But a lot of times those safety pins, they can be rusted at times. You have a hard time getting them out. They're packed with mud, asphalt, anything else. But I always want to throw a chain through the center. So I said about every 10 feet they require a chain. Anything else?
With that safety bar in there, if that safety bar isn't long and that starts to articulate, you just lost your chain binder. That piece is coming off. We had a individual outside of PennDOT lost a 10-ton roller that way on 40. Yeah. Then lost the safety bar, it pivoted, lost his chains, and come off the deck on the road.
All right, I think we're done with load securement, and thank you for joining us here. On to the next round. Thank you.